is something you really think about. Title insurance, you think of insurance, that's more of like your car insurance or your homeowner's insurance. And just to separate real quickly of the differences between that. So homeowners insurance obviously is protecting your valuables or something were to happen, a flood in your home. What title insurance is doing is we're in the front side of the transaction. So we're there when you're first purchasing in escrow. And the title search is checking liens and encumbrances that have happened in the past. So we're searching through county records, and we're making sure that the new buyer that's about to acquire this property will have free and clear title.
Welcome to the Selling Sandoval podcast, where we dive deep into the world of real estate in sunny California. I'm your host, Victoria Sandoval, and I'm thrilled to have you join me as I sit down with top-notch professionals, market analysts, and influential leaders who have mastered the art of closing deals. Together, we'll explore the ever-evolving market trends, debunk myths, and empower you with the tools to negotiate like a pro. So whether you're a buyer, seller, or agent seeking inspiration, this podcast is your key to unlocking real estate success in California. This is the Selling Sandoval podcast. I'm Victoria Sandoval, and I'm excited to embark on this journey with you. Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Selling Sandoval. I'm here with Jose Melara. He's my title rep of many years. Welcome, Jose.
Thanks for having me.
Of course. I'm excited to have you. So a little bit about Jose. So we've been working together for quite some time, but his team is ranked top 1% in Southern California. Ticor Title is a Fortune 500 company, right?
Yes.
So they've received numerous awards. So the nice thing is when you are in real estate, if you're a real estate agent, you want to be backed by a credible company. So Ticor Title is the way to go if you're not already partnered up with a title company. Okay, Jose. So tell us a little bit about your background. How did you get into? So Jose, how did you get into title insurance?
Yeah, so I moved here to go to San Diego State. So go Aztecs. Kind of fell into it. I was going for a degree in marketing, communications, and knew I wanted to get into sales. I always had that entrepreneurship mindset, even as a kid. And I was actually interning for a advertising company, and we did a pitch to a title company. So when I got a chance to meet the president of that title company, I remember him handing me a card and saying, "Hey, if you're ever looking to get into the real estate industry, give me a call." At that time, of course, I didn't even know what real estate was. I was just getting out of college. So it took me a couple of months, but I did give him a call, and I'm sure glad I did. The job that I thought would just be temporary turned out to be a career, which I love.
And you're good at it. Very, very good at it. Actually, I want to tell a funny story about how we met 20 years ago, in the industry, yeah. And we started working together 15 years ago.
Yes.
I was at lunch with some of my friends, and Jose happened to walk by, so he goes over to say hi. And might I add, my friends were MMA fighters, so they had no idea I knew him. So they created this like human wall, this barrier in front of him, and you were about to get beat up.
I think I was, yeah.
Yeah.
I was going over to say hi, and all of a sudden.
Yeah, you're like, I swear I know her. And then they just opened up. Like, okay. Yeah. So I said, you know what? This is the guy. This is the title rep I need to work with. He's resilient and doesn't take no for an answer. Just kidding.
I was ready to take a beating for your title business.
Yeah. See, and 15 years later, now you are our title rep, and you work with all the agents here at the company. We have about 40 agents. So we all love working with Jose. You're a wealth of knowledge, and you teach us a lot. So thank you for that.
Thank you. And I did want to say, even before we began, thanks for having me. And also very proud of you. This is awesome. Amazing of what you've done in the last 15 years. And even this podcast that you're educating these new buyers, sellers, and even agents that are looking to get more information on how to succeed. You're the blueprint. So.
Thank you. Thank you. I do find that, as being a broker and broker owner, I find that a lot of agents, even experienced agents, they walk in my door and they don't really have a lot of knowledge about the market and just the basic things that you would think that agents would know. And they're just not taught, or I don't know, maybe they just don't have the right mentor. But I think this will be a good platform for agents to plug into, and I can share all of my resources.
I think it's because they see, and correct me if I'm wrong, but you just see the glitz and glamour of the real estate, right?
Oh yeah.
On shows, on social media, you just see like just sold and all the good stuff. But you really need to have knowledge. You got to have a business plan. You got to be really good with people, right? It's a people person industry. And I think you've done a great job in honing in your skills
Thank
and
you.
being able to teach them. You're a great teacher too. I see that with your agents.
Thank you. Thank you. Tell me more. Just
Yeah.
kidding. Stop.
Wait, is this about me? Or
Just kidding. All right. Well, again, it's easy when you have a good team to back you up, like Ticor Title. All right. So tell me a little bit about title insurance.
Sure.
Most buyers, because we have homeowners, we have buyers listening in, we have agents. They hear the term title insurance, they have no idea what it includes, what it is, why do we need it, why is it important to have title insurance?
Absolutely, yeah. And just, I think if you haven't been in the process of buying or selling a home, it's something you really think about. Title insurance. You think of insurance, that's more of like your car insurance or your homeowner's insurance.
Mhm.
And just to separate real quickly of the differences between that. So homeowners insurance obviously is protecting your valuables, or something were to happen, a flood in your home.
Mhm.
What title insurance is doing is we're in the front side of the transaction. So we're there when you're first purchasing in escrow. And the title search is checking liens and encumbrances that have happened in the past. So
Okay.
we're searching through county records, and we're making sure that the new buyer that's about to acquire this property will have free and clear title, meaning there's not going to be any debt left over from past sellers or any forgery. The right sellers have signed over the deed, the interest to the new buyers.
Yeah, so fraud, that's another big one, right? So especially right now, we hear of a lot of elderly abuse and their errors over here, getting them to
Yes.
quit claim and sign stuff. So you guys cover all that. You guys have all that coverage.
Absolutely, and it's us and escrow, right?
Right.
It's a team on all of us that are making sure that documents are signed correctly. Our notaries that are making sure the right people are signing.
Mhm.
But we're doing the search with the county on who owns the property at the beginning.
Okay.
And that's, of course, very important, because that will tell you who needs to sign the contract,
Right.
who's legally able to give over the vesting of the property to the new buyer. And with that comes any kind of liens that are attached. So any debts, any mortgage liens that the buyer, or I'm sorry, the seller has acquired to purchase a property.
Mhm.
Those will show up on our preliminary report, and all that's taken care of through escrow to be able to be paid off, so the new buyer can have free and clear title.
So, you often give us advice when we
Yes.
get a listing. You say, hey, we can order a kind of like a little peekaboo title policy. And why is that
Yes.
important for agents to order that in advance?
Absolutely. So it's almost like you want to be ahead of the game, right? In any
Mhm.
part of the transaction, the more you know, the more chances you'll be able to get ahead of any kind of challenges that come up during escrow. Because
Mhm.
as we know, there's a lot of challenges that can come up in escrow.
Right.
So I do advise agents to, as soon as they get the listing agreement, to take an SI, which is your statement of information.
Mhm.
That's something the title company and escrow will need. It gives us more information on the sellers, and they need to fill that out to help us with our search.
Okay.
The other thing we go ahead and pull is, once you get a listing agreement, it is a preliminary report.
Right.
That allows us to do the search. We start searching through the county records
Mhm.
and the general index, and making sure that anything that's attached to that property as a lien, we're able to put it on our report, so we can go ahead and take care of these liens and transfer them over to the new buyer.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So we had talked before we were filming. We talked a little bit about how back in the day there was, people they would do short sales, and then they would do loan modifications, or what were their? They weren't loan modifications. They were kind of like basically debt forgiveness. Some banks advertised that they forgave like the second loan, and it wasn't even on title, but then it would pop up later.
Yeah.
Is there a way for a homeowner to know if the bank really did forgive that debt and it's not going to pop up on title?
Yeah, I think you're referring more to the market, when the market crashed
Mhm.
in 2005, and I guess the regulations weren't they weren't ready for what that storm that hit, right?
Yeah.
So a lot of the documentation, each bank had their own way of doing the documents. There was a lot of loan modifications.
Mhm.
The regulations were just, they weren't in place. So
Right.
a lot of those debts were sold off to other lenders, and we had
Right.
servicers that were taking care of these loans. So yeah, a lot of this just got really mixed up.
But we're caught up now.
We're caught up.
We're not dealing
Yeah.
with that anymore.
A lot
Okay.
of that has passed, which is great. What we're seeing now, though, in terms of the fraud, or even you'll see some change in title where maybe it wasn't something that you could or that the homeowner allowed, right? So there's been some advancements. I know the San Diego County Recorders has a free service now where you can sign up as a homeowner, and it's literally going online. I can put up the website if you want afterwards, and it allows you to be able to be notified if something new is recorded against your property. So I definitely advise that. Yeah, there's some companies out there that are kind of doing that as you can pay for it, but it's really something that the San Diego County has invested money in to help out the homeowners here.
That's great. It's a great way for homeowners to protect, to protect themselves from fraud. So if anybody tries to be a slippery little fish, you have a sibling trying to add themselves to title while your parents are sick, you'll get alerted.
And with that same breath, that's what title insurance does. We are there to protect you. So that's the searches we're doing. We're searching any kind of deeds that have been recorded against our property. So even if it's vesting changes, we want to make sure the right person signed that quit claim to this new individual that's now on title.
Okay, perfect. So let's talk about ways that buyers can hold title. So what are the common ways? I guess the three most common. So
Sure. Well, first we want to give that statement, right? You definitely want to speak to your CPA, your attorney, your tax accountant, anyone that's going to give you that advice, that can give you that advice.
So we're not advising you.
We're not advising, but we do want to at least be able to prepare a buyer to know how to hold title. So we do have some great information that we can hand out from our website on how common ways to hold title. But just to give you a quick scenario on what we usually see is when there's a spouse, a husband and wife, and they usually hold it as a joint tenancy, meaning that if something were to happen to one of them, the interest of the property would transfer over to the other individual. And that's most commonly seen in marriages.
Well, what if we have blended families, right? Where we have a husband and a wife, but they have children from other partners, right? So for instance, in my situation, I'm married to Abel, lucky guy. Just kidding. But I have my children, right? So if something happens to me, I want to make sure that my children get a piece of the pie, right?
Absolutely.
So what would be the best option in that case if I wanted to? I know you're not advising me, but what are the options?
Well, that's exactly what I say, Vicky. Call your accountant, call your CPA, make sure, because everybody has different situations and how they see their future on how they want to leave their heirs, their assets. But just going off of what an attorney would usually say is the best way to protect yourself is to create a trust.
Right.
A trust solves a lot of the challenges when it comes down to who's going to get your assets once you pass. So that's probably a great advice just as an overall umbrella, because you're able to outline all your assets and who you wanted to leave them to if you want to leave more to your daughter than your son, because they're just the number one. I shouldn't say that 100% because I know your family. So you got beautiful kids.
Thank you. So do you.
But no, you can outline everything. So if that were, God forbid, something were to happen, it wouldn't have to go to court, because that's what ends up happening. If you just hold it as a joint tenancy and unfortunately both individuals pass, then guess what? The courts are going to decide for you. So it goes to probate. That means more attorney fees, obviously more expenses.
Yeah. And then these children appear out of nowhere like, hey, I'm the rightful son.
Exactly. And we do see that.
Abel has a son? What?
You'd be surprised everyone that comes out of the woodworks, right? When there's
money involved. Yeah, we say money makes people funny.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. But yeah, that's a good question. And if they do have more questions, your buyers, or if you're looking to purchase, contact your team here, and we'll be happy to help out.
Okay, perfect. So what we learned is that title insurance will basically cover any fraud, right? It will look for any fraud.
That's what our job is. Yeah. We're making sure that the title vested and changed over to the new buyer is the rightful owners. But you do have protection if there was some forgery done.
Okay.
So that's all in your title insurance policy.
And we also learned that title insurance will ensure that you as the new homeowner, you basically are provided a clear title, right? So no one can come knocking on your door in the future and say, hey, I'm the rightful owner. Get out of my
Absolutely.
house, right?
Yeah.
So that won't happen.
And you know what? Something that I do get asked, and it's always great to say, is that unlike any homeowners insurance or car insurance, you're not paying a monthly fee. You're basically paying a one-time fee, which protects you from the time you purchase to the time you either refinance or sell your property.
Okay.
Yeah.
And with refinances, you guys offer?
Yes, it's protected by lender's policy.
Okay.
Your lender's going to want a policy to make sure. Same thing, right? They want to be in position of a free and clear title with their new mortgage.
Do you have to have a mortgage in order to have title insurance, or can somebody who pays off their mortgage
Correct.
still have?
So if it's let's say it's a purchase and you have a cash transaction, then we're just going to issue an owner's policy. Right?
Okay.
That we're still going to do the search, so the new buyer does have title insurance.
Okay.
That's protecting them, but there is no lender policy on that.
I see. So that's right. So there's two policies. So when somebody buys a house, they have two policies. They have an owner's policy and a lender's policy.
Correct. Yes, if they have a loan.
If they have a loan.
Yeah.
So double protection.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah. What we're doing is we're protecting the new lender. Wants to make sure that he's in the right position, meaning if something were to happen to the property, money goes to them.
Absolutely. Makes sense.
Right. So, and then of course your buyer wants to make sure you get free and clear title. So that's the new homeowner's policy.
You learn something new every day.
Yeah. And I'm sure you can go into this more, but depending on how the contract's written up, it's usually the seller pays for their policy and then the buyer pays for their policy.
Yeah,
but it can be negotiated.
Right. Yeah, I would say 90% of the time the sellers pay for the policy. It's kind of like a unspoken rule.
Okay.
But it can be negotiated. I have received counter offers where they're like, buyer has to pay for all the fees. And
it all depends the kind of market, right? When it's a seller's market, looks like seller has a lot more advantages, and if it's a buyer's market, then they're able to ask for some concessions or something to help out.
Yeah. So we talked about how you help homeowners, right? And protect them. So let's talk about and lenders. Now for the agents listening in, you actually come in and help some of our agents pretty often with the tools. You explain the tools that you provide, the farming tools that your company provides for the agents who want to prospect and possibly get more listings.
Absolutely. I think data is key when you're out there farming, prospecting. So that's what we provide. I do think that's a key to having success with the consistency of marketing. As we know, and that's where that term farming comes from, right? You're planting those seeds and you're waiting for them to grow, but it's really just that consistency of being out there. So one thing that we can bring to you is that data. A lot of times you see when an agent picks up a new listing, we're there for you to help. Even when you're going to do an open house, you want to know the information around, or you want to know the neighbors' information around the property, because we know that once one property goes up, that usually another home sells pretty soon.
Right.
So that's the kind of data we can get you to help you prospect, because the more you know, the more knowledge you'll have when you're out there handling those objections, looking for the right homeowners to look for something to sell.
And they do say that 70% of buyers buy to be closer to their friends and family. So the likeliness of the owners knowing someone looking to move in the neighborhood is going to be quite high. So you got to get those name and numbers, those neighbors, and those phone numbers.
Well, it's crazy to think that those agents that don't take that advantage, right? If you get a new listing, it's a great way of not being a salesy person. You're really just giving out information to the neighbors about the new listing you have. And that just attracts usually more listings.
Right. Inviting them to the open houses.
Absolutely.
People want to know what their neighbor's home's selling for, because they want to know what their home would sell for. So.
Absolutely. So
awesome. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
No, thank you so much for joining us. I know you had been asking me you wanted to be the first guest, but your schedule is so busy.
I was gonna say, I thought you were gonna say your schedule's too busy. You're like, I had so many people.
I've been waiting for you to walk in that door for the last month, and you're finally free.
Well, I do want to say thank you for having me on the show.
Of course.
I'm very proud of what you've accomplished here, and
thank you.
All
proud of you too.
That you're giving out to the new buyers and sellers coming our way.
Thank you. I'm very proud of you too. God, how many agents do you say you're working with? You've worked with throughout the years? Is it in the thousands now?
We've helped, yeah.
Oh my gosh. Your team is the best.
Oh, appreciate it.
You guys are always on it. Oh my gosh. If for some reason you're in a meeting, Tony's calling me back. I love it.
It's really great to have a full team behind you, and we're here to support you, help you grow.
Thank you. And if you're an agent looking for a title insurance company to work with support, call Jose Melara. His information will be on the link below. Thanks again for watching if you're on YouTube, or listening in if you're on one of the podcast channels. All right, till next time, guys. Bye. Thank you for joining us on this episode of the Selling Sandoval podcast. If you've enjoyed today's episode, be sure to subscribe to our podcast and stay tuned for more valuable insights and practical tips. Remember, whether you're a buyer, seller, or an aspiring real estate agent, the Selling Sandoval podcast is your trusted companion in navigating the dynamic California real estate landscape. Until next time, keep dreaming big and making those real estate dreams a reality. This is Victoria Sandoval, signing off from the Selling Sandoval podcast, wishing you success and happiness in all of your real estate endeavors.